business at the end of the day is basically problem solving. That's what we're all here to do. And it's like, regardless of what I do, what anyone else does, okay, I do storytelling, but what problem do I solve?
So joining me on the line today, I've got Coelho from storytelling.video. So was that I called you storytelling.video, it's story-driven.video, isn't it?
Story-driven.video, yeah.
And there's a bit of a difference because storytelling is important, but story-driven video is really about sales process. I think you mentioned before, and just making sure that people are using video for engagement rather than just telling stories. They're using stories to drive sales, yeah?
Exactly.
So maybe introduce yourself, Cliff, and tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Cliff Coelho. I run a video production business here in Brisbane.
Yeah.
So video production is not something that I always did. I used to be a design engineer, automotive design engineer, of all things, in the UK. And I used to make videos for businesses as more like a passion, but that was the typical type of 15-second, 30-second videos that are quite popular. And they were popular at one time where video was not a big thing initially when it first came on social media. So whoever did that, whoever put out any type of content, it used to really blow up. But over time, everyone, regardless of whether they were business or people in general, started posting a lot of content. And now it's become very difficult for businesses to stand out.
Yeah.
So that sent me down a different route, basically, of identifying what are the things that people actually look for, what actually works for a business in terms of conveying their value proposition. And that's how I stumbled upon storytelling and found out basically, that's how the big brands have always been doing it. Anyone can tell stories, but you've got to tell a story in a way that your audience should be able to identify themselves, either through their pain or their aspiration. And then from there, you're like no longer selling to them because you're just taking them on your journey with you, basically.
And really, I suppose right now in the world with the whole COVID experience, people are using video more than ever. And
yes.
I think before we even started this call, you mentioned, it's not okay just to publish content anymore. It has to be part of a story. It has to be part of a framework that actually gives people more meaning than just a sort of business tip or how to shine your shoes.
Exactly, yeah. So it's like business at the end of the day is basically problem solving. That's what we're all here to do. And it's like, regardless of what I do, what anyone else does, okay, I do storytelling, but what problem do I solve? And it's the same for anyone else. It's their audience needs to understand what is actually what problem they solve. And once they know that that problem needs solving, why should it be you? So you need to be able to identify your uniqueness as well. You need to stand out. And that doesn't mean just using like buzzwords in the industry or that doesn't come from, from a technical place. That doesn't come from keyword research.
Yeah.
Yes, that plays a part in it. It's obviously a part of what I do as well. Keyword research and hashtag research and all of that.
Yeah.
But that's just finding a way of tapping into those conversations.
Yeah, I understand.
What really does is like understanding the impact of what that problem is causing, the emotional response as a result from that problem. And then taking them from there to a place where, okay, you can solve that problem, but in a unique way that connects with that audience in a particular way.
Yeah, gotcha. So let me ask you, obviously the current economic environment has changed the way we do business, and especially for you guys in the videography space. If you're in Melbourne, you wouldn't be doing any work at all because you'd be stuck at home staring at a computer screen. But obviously in Brisbane, you've got a bit more flexibility. But how's it impacted how you do business?
Yeah, so there's been the way it started off was when COVID news first came out, and there was like panic everywhere. Businesses were canceling all marketing spend, and video went with that in the beginning. It's like deals falling through left, right, center.
Yeah.
But then like my existing clients started noticing that the content consumption was actually going up.
Right.
And because like a lot of the other players were moving out of the advertising space because they're playing defensive, the cost of getting your message in front of people was going down, and that's still happening.
Yeah.
I don't know how long that will continue for. So basically, yeah, so I started getting more work from, people who are already doing videos with me. And the only thing is we shifted the way we did things slightly. Actually, it's not, yeah. We shifted from brand focused videos to more, well, we still have the brand focused videos because it's more for conversion mechanism. So the lead gen stuff, so rather than using the same brand story type videos up front, the lead generation stuff, we focus towards making them even longer. So what I think a lot of businesses are thinking right now, okay, there's more content. I need to compete with more people for the same attention. So let me make my content, like my videos, smaller.
Right.
But you can't solve a problem in a 15-second video. You can't identify. You can't, you can't change perspectives basically, because it's nice to give tips and all that, but everyone's giving tips. So how do you identify, how do you separate yourself? It's by finding the thing that shifts someone's perspectives on a problem, showing them a better way of doing it, and focusing on just one piece of content, one or two, and really marketing that piece of content rather than doing more and more of the same thing.
And I think you're right. Video came along and everyone said, I can just tell tips and people will listen, and people get sick of tips. They go, give me more. And so it requires a bit more effort. And you reminded me of, an old saying, when everyone else zigs, you should be zagging.
Spot on.
So if everyone's doing content tips, you got to get away. You got to run as fast as you can.
Exactly. It's just that. Yeah.
So let me ask you, what opportunities do you see for people in business right now?
Opportunities, I think there's plenty in terms of increasing your digital footprint. Obviously is the easy one, because the cost of it is just going down. Maybe the cost of depends on what you're already doing, but the tools that are becoming available are just mind-blowing in terms of what you can create, not just in terms of video, but in automation. And I think the real opportunity is looking inward at this point and saying, okay, what are the things we already have that we can use in our business? Looking at your business model, maybe there's finding new ways of helping your clients, because they are the ones who will really tell you what they need. You might think, I can sit here all day and think, maybe my clients need this, need that. But they are the ones facing the problem. So they are the closest to that problem. And the closer you can get to that problem and understand it, there's no one doing this stuff. So it's easy to stand out once you do that.
And the hardest thing is, like you mentioned, listening to what your clients' needs are, but sometimes they don't know what they need.
They don't.
There's an old saying by Henry Ford. He said, if I listened to my clients, I would have just built a faster horse.
That is true. I love that.
So sometimes it's about seeing the problem and identifying a solution that people may not even know is available to them, and then introducing that. So it's an interesting thought. Let me ask you, what are your priorities in your business right now?
My priorities are what I have completely ignored my own content. So I filmed a lot of stuff over time, and I just relied on one piece of content, which was my own brand story, which works well for me around my own sales process.
Yes.
But it's I became over reliant and got too lazy with it. Right. So I'm working on building this, building up my content. Again, it's not about trying to reach masses of people. It's about connecting with a very specific type of audience and making my content just for those few people, and be able to help them better, because the less people I help, the way I see it is, I can create something really special.
Right. So really getting focused in your niche, huh?
On my niche, yeah.
Fantastic. So let me ask you, obviously COVID has affected different people in different ways. What personal lessons have you taken out of this whole experience?
I think personal learning would be, is to be nimble, really.
Yeah.
I know pivot is a very popular term right now. Everyone's pivoting, but it's also, yeah, being nimble. Never never take your customer for granted, because they're the ones who pay your bills. And uh, always stay close to your customer,
Yeah.
because they might not tell you what the best solution is for them, but as long as you pointed out, you can identify the problem that they're having.
Yeah.
You can create new solutions for them, and that's the easiest way of being nimble. It's not by just thinking it up yourself, and test whatever it is that you're doing. Test it, because without testing, you don't really have any feedback to know what needs changing.
I think you've mentioned a couple of things there, but being nimble versus pivoting, because to me, pivoting is a sort of one-way ticket. Being nimble is because as fast as COVID affected us, we're going to come out of COVID as a different kind of community, right?
Yes.
And no one can anticipate what that's going to be. So it may not be a pivot, it may be an adaptation, or being nimble, being able to adjust to a market. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Pivot. Yeah, you're right. Actually, that's pivot is like a reactionary thing, whereas nimble is just evolution.
I think so. I think so. So tell me the best piece of business advice you've ever received.
So yeah, I thought about this one. I think I read a book recently called Profit First.
Yes.
And you've read that one?
Yes, definitely.
Yes, I think that is amazing. It's I've not implemented it yet, but again, that book did all the things that I talk about. It's like it identified my problems the way that I never thought about. It's like I used to think that all the money that you earn, you should, like as much as you can, put it back in the business to keep it growing, thinking like Amazon. But it's not really sustainable. It's and it doesn't create that. You've got to pay yourself first, and the profit as well, and that becomes like a like a compounding effect over time, where your business grows along with it.
Well, it's self-fulfilling, because I think like one of the messages in that book is that most business owners don't demand profit from their business. They treat it as leftover. And they say, if there's any profit, then I'll take it. He's saying, how about you take it before at the start of the month rather than the end of the month?
Yes.
It would force you to have to make the difference up. Yeah.
Yeah. I think he goes a step further and says, like, take it on every deposit. So even if it's not a payment, and like initially I was, but it's a bit hard hitting, but that said, he changed my perspective on
Fantastic.
Made his point, and like now I'm sold. That's what I'm going to be doing. I've already started.
Yeah, I mean, for many years I've been telling people, create a profit account and put a percentage of your revenue in there, not your profit, your revenue. Even if you start with 1%, like he talks about in the book, it's not that noticeable, and you'd be surprised how you can manage without it.
Yes.
And it's a bit like forced savings. We luckily in this country, it sounds weird, we have superannuation, which is forced by the government, and everyone resents it, but in the end they're grateful because they have cash in the bank.
Correct.
And it's the same sort of philosophy. It's just about paying yourself first. So that's fantastic. So let me ask you one last question. If you had one piece of business advice for someone in business right now, what would it be?
I would say, from a video perspective, I think video is a good place to go into right now. Like, you don't have to hire a videographer to get into it. It used to be a nice to have, but now it's become a must. Where if you're not making video content, like your competitors will be. But there's a step further. Find out what are the things that find out about the biggest misconceptions in your industry about your brand. Like, not about your brand, but about what you do, about the limitations of what people think about what you do, and then address them, and people will react to that. People is like, this is all you need to do. Just find the myths and misconceptions about your industry, about those limitations, and make content that's authentic, that doesn't have to be flashy. It doesn't need super animations and all of that stuff. If you can make it more engaging visually, that's great, but that's a bonus. Understand your customer and find their limiting beliefs and get rid of them, and I think there's no better way of serving your customer than actually giving them hope of doing things in a better way.
Yeah, fantastic. Cliff, thanks so much for your time today. It's been very interesting to talk to you and understand a bit more about storytelling, or, you know, just understanding how to use stories as part of your sales process. So thanks very much for your time.
No, thank you very much. And it's really, I really loved your questions, and very insightful. And I think the stuff that you're doing, you're getting this information out of people and serving a bigger community. So it's an amazing thing you're doing. It's helping
Thank you very much.
businesses during this time where they're looking for something like this.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks again, Cliff.
Thank you. Thank you.